Ryan Garcia has just sent Conor Benn a shocking video ahead of their highly anticipated fight in Las Vegas. But instead of building excitement, the clip has only added more tension between the two fighters and changed the conversation heading into fight night. Let me break it down. Ryan Garcia is the WBC welterweight champion right now, and in September, he's supposed to defend that belt for the very first time against Conor Benn. That fight is already official. Ryan Garcia is set to defend his WBC welterweight title against Conor Benn on September 12 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, officially sanctioned by Dana White under the Zuffa boxing banner, marking Garcia's first title defense and Benn's first world title challenge. But the fight itself isn't why everyone's talking today. It's what Garcia sent Benn after their first face-to-face turned into a shoving match. Here's the setup. The two men had already been going back and forth online for months. Then they finally stood on the same stage at Fanatics Fest in New York, and it nearly turned into an actual brawl. Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn had to be pulled apart by security after their first face-to-face press conference. For their September 12 fight nearly turned into an actual brawl, boiling over when Benn needled Garcia about his rising voice. Benn started it, talking down to Garcia like he was losing it in front of everyone. "Listen, Ryan, calm down. You're having one of them little episodes," Benn said. "Calm down. I know you're getting all excited." Garcia answered with a threat of his own. He told Benn he'd come across the stage and knock the glasses right off his face. And he said it more than once, daring Benn to actually get up. Benn just laughed it off and told him he wouldn't do a thing. That's when it got personal. Garcia stopped talking about the fight and started talking about Benn as a man. He told him he quits, that he doesn't have heart, and then he brought up the fact that the fight lands on Mexican Independence Day weekend and told Benn flat out he's not Mexican. Garcia told Benn, "You quit, you have no heart, and with the fight set for Mexican Independence Day weekend, you're not Mexican, bro." Both men were up out of their chairs by the end of it, and security had to physically get between them before the whole thing turned into a real fight on camera. The confrontation erupted when Benn told Garcia he would smack those glasses straight off his face. Garcia responded with an expletive, prompting Benn to step out of his seat and move toward the American fighter, and UFC chief Dana White initially pushed Benn back before security personnel intervened to keep the two apart. That's the presser. That's the spark. But it's what happened after. Once the cameras stopped rolling on stage, that turned this into something else entirely. Garcia didn't let it end there. Standing at the podium once things calmed down, he looked dead into the camera and made a promise. That wasn't just trash talk anymore. It was a video message aimed directly at Benn, and it was brutal. "If I let this man beat me, that would be crazy," Garcia said. "You're going to get knocked out under 5 rounds. Hey Turkey, Alalshik, 5 rounds is all it's going to take. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to knock him out in 5 or below. 5 rounds, not 12. Not a decision, a finish." And he said it with Benn standing right there. That's the kind of statement that gets clipped, gets sent around, gets forwarded phone to phone in group chats within minutes. It wasn't a tweet. It wasn't a caption under a gym selfie. It was Garcia on camera, looking at the man he's about to fight and telling him exactly how it ends. And Benn didn't let it slide. He came right back, using Garcia's own resume against him, reminding everyone that Garcia only got this shot after losing to Rolando Romero the year before. Benn baited Garcia by saying he got handed a world title shot off the back of a defeat to Rolly Romero in 2025. He went further than that too, refusing to even treat Garcia like a real threat in the ring. I'm not really too concerned about this little influencer to my right. He ain't a fighter. He can say whatever he wants. It ain't going to make no difference come Sept 12. So now you've got a champion telling a challenger on video that he's getting knocked out inside 5 rounds. And you've got that same challenger calling the champion an influencer who isn't even a real fighter. 2 grown men, both with legitimate world title aspirations, acting like this is personal because at this point it is. This didn't come out of nowhere either. Garcia and Benn had been circling each other for over a year before this fight ever got made official. What started as a fun hypothetical matchup between 2 punchers fans wanted to see turned into something with real venom behind it. And to understand why Garcia's video hit as hard as it did, you have to go back to where all of this actually started, long before either man had a press conference to lose his temper at. To understand why this beef feels so real, You need to understand who these two men actually are, because their careers could not have taken more different roads to get to the same ring in September. Start with Garcia. He spent years being one of the most talked about names in the sport, but not always for the right reasons. His career has been a roller coaster, and that's not an exaggeration, it's just what happened. Back in 2024, he fought Devin Haney and dropped him 3 times on the way to a win everyone thought would define his comeback. His decision victory against Devin Haney was later overturned to a no contest due to a positive drug test. That cost him a full year out of the ring. As a result, his fight purse was rescinded and Garcia was handed a 1-year ban alongside a fine. When he came back, it didn't go smoothly either. After a 1-year suspension, he faced Roland "Rolly" Romero in May 2025, only to suffer an upset loss by unanimous decision. Things got worse before they got better during 2025. Garcia was expelled from the WBC in July for repeatedly using racial slurs, though the ban was lifted in November. That's a rough stretch for anybody, let alone a fighter who was supposed to be one of boxing's biggest young stars. But then he turned it around. Garcia stepped in against Mario Barrios and dropped him in the very first round on his way to becoming a full world champion. Garcia dropped Mario Barrios in the first round en route to a decision win, with which he collected the WBC title to finally become a full world champion. That's the belt he's defending against Benn. That's the story Garcia's trying to write now. A guy who fell hard, sat out a suspension, and clawed his way back to the top of a stacked division. Benn's story looks nothing like that, at least on paper. He hasn't dealt with a drug suspension mid-career derailing a signature win, but he's carried his own baggage. Back in 2022, he failed 2 drug tests, and it turned into a saga that followed him for years. Hearn and his company Matchroom had promoted the welterweight for his entire career, and had stuck by him during a 2-year saga that began when Benn failed 2 drug tests in 2022. The WBC eventually cleared him, chalking the failed test up to what officials described as him having overconsumed eggs. In 2022, the UK superstar was suspended for failing a drug test before the WBC cleared him by claiming he overconsumed eggs. Whether fans believed that explanation or not, it followed him into every fight since. What Benn's really built his name on is his rivalry with Chris Eubank Jr. Their 2 fights, both at middleweight, turned into one of the most talked about series in the sport. Benn lost the first one, then came back and beat Eubank in the rematch, dropping him twice on the way to a decision win. In a huge rematch on 15 November, Benn knocked down Chris Eubank Jr. twice, en route to a decision win, gaining redemption after a points loss to his bitter rival in April. That win did more than settle a score. It repositioned Benn as a genuine threat at a weight he hadn't fought at in years. Having fought Eubank Jr. at middleweight on both occasions, Benn is now keen to return to his preferred division of welterweight, with ambitions of becoming a world champion for the first time. That's the piece that matters here. Benn has never actually held a version of a welterweight world title. This fight against Garcia is his first real shot at one. Garcia makes the first defense of the belt he won from Mario Barrios in February, while Benn receives the first world title shot of his career. For a fighter with his father's shadow hanging over every bit of coverage he gets, Nigel Benn, a former 2-time world champion himself, who made 9 defenses of his own middleweight title, this is the fight that either makes Conor's career or leaves him standing next to his dad's legacy without one of his own. And that gap in accomplishment is exactly what made one of Benn's earlier call-out videos land so badly with fans. Months before the presser blew up, Benn posted a clip calling Garcia out, panning the camera over to a WBC world title belt sitting behind him like it was his own. In the video, Benn calls out Garcia in a gym before panning over to a WBC title belt. However, the belt belongs to his father. Fans noticed immediately, and it turned into one of the more embarrassing moments of the entire build-up. At this point in his career, Benn has never won, held, or defended a world championship at any time, and social media slammed him accordingly, with one user writing that he had to show his dad's belt because he's never won one of his own. That single video tells you almost everything about the dynamic between these 2 men heading into September. Garcia's already a champion trying to prove his comeback is real. Benn's chasing his first title while standing in the shadow of a belt that isn't his. When Garcia looked into that camera at the presser and promised a finish inside 5 rounds, it wasn't just trash talk about a fight. It was a direct shot at a man who spent his whole career one step behind the accomplishment he wants most. So how did these two men, on completely different trajectories, even end up circling each other in the first place? That part of the story actually goes back further than most people realize, and it started long before either man had a real reason to fight. Rewind the clock, because this rivalry didn't begin at a press conference in New York. It started over a year earlier, in the middle of Garcia's comeback from suspension, when Benn saw an opening and took it. Right after Garcia's win over Devin Haney turned heads across the sport, Benn jumped into his mentions with praise mixed with a challenge. The 27-year-old had this to say to Garcia on X, following Saturday night's shocking result. "Great performance from Garcia. I called it credit to Devin Haney for getting up off the floor 3 times. I will fight any of these guys." Garcia didn't hesitate to respond, and he didn't hold back either, firing off a reply that set the tone for everything that followed. Garcia responded by saying, "Let's run it in London at the O2. I will fracture you spleen, and then eat it, shout out London." That exchange could have died right there as internet noise. Instead, it kept building. A few months later, after Benn took a loss to Eubank in their first fight, Garcia was ringside watching Benn's rematch prep and posted about wanting to see the fight get made once Benn handled his business. Garcia recently teased a showdown against Benn, and Benn responded, "I'll be ringside to watch you get the job done Saturday then, God willing. We get it on later this year and pack a stadium out." Then Benn beat Eubank in the rematch, and the callouts got sharper. Fresh off that win, Benn made it clear exactly who he wanted next. Immediately after beating Eubank, Benn used his post-fight callout on Garcia, and Garcia accepted the callout on the Inside the Ring show, prompting the two to trade barbs on social media. Benn came at him hard on social media, telling Garcia his head was next, and that he was ready to run it in a stadium. "Your head's next then," Benn tweeted in response to Garcia's comments. "We can run it here in a stadium. I'm the money man. Come get it." Garcia clapped straight back, bringing up his history against opponents, connected to promoter Eddie Hearn, and framing a potential Benn fight as another notch in that column. "I'm up 2-0 on Mr. Eddie Hearn," Garcia responded. "Would love to make it 3-0 and head to the UK, always been a dream of mine. Let's run it." Benn wasn't done either. He came back with one of his sharpest lines of the whole back and forth, telling Garcia he doesn't waste time talking in circles the way Americans do. "I don't play games or waffle like you Yanks do. When I say let's go, I mean let's go. Me v you next. I'll sign immediately, and rest assured I'll knock you clean out." Around this same stretch, Garcia sat down for an interview and went further than a tweet ever could. He talked about Benn's style, calling him a brawler who'd come out throwing bombs, trying to overwhelm him, but insisted it wouldn't work. He's gonna come crazy and throw bombs all night and thinks he's gonna overwhelm me, but he won't. But I would love to fight him. I love fighting Eddie Hearn fighters. I don't know why. I just love to beat them up. Then he said something that stuck around online for weeks, admitting that beating Benn would bring him more joy than winning another title. "It's just the way he talks, the way he moves. I can't wait to look at his face and say, I did it again. That would bring so much joy to me, almost more than a championship title." That's not a fighter looking for a paycheck. That's a fighter who genuinely wants to hurt this specific man on camera and say it to his face. By the time Benn got ranked the WBC's #1 welterweight contender, the rivalry had a real target attached to it. Benn was given the #1 ranking at welterweight by the WBC and made his intent clear on Instagram, saying he'd just gotten the news he's mandatory for the WBC world title and was watching Barrios versus Garcia closely, wanting the winner early the next year. That ranking turned every piece of trash talk from a hypothetical into a real countdown. Then came the moment that arguably did more damage to Benn's side of this than anything Garcia said. In May, Benn posted a training video tagged directly at Garcia, panning across a training camp and landing on a training partner, wearing the belt Benn's father had once carried. Benn woke up one morning and sent a targeted video message to the WBC welterweight champion, opening with "Morning graft, attack the days, Make the days count. Remember, hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. He closed the clip with a direct shot at Garcia's belt. "Keep that belt warm for me," Benn told Garcia. "We're coming for you, boy." And what? That's the video that got picked apart online once people realized whose belt was actually on camera. Even Garcia's Mexican heritage got dragged into it. When critics questioned whether Garcia was Mexican enough because he doesn't speak fluent Spanish, Benn saw an opening and jumped on it, posting a gym selfie video where he taunted Garcia in Spanish, declaring himself more Mexican than him and ready for war. In a sweaty gym selfie video posted to social media, Benn tagged Ryan and declared, "Yo soy más mexicano que ese cabrón. Yo soy listo para guerra. Esta pelea es para la raza." The whole exchange had started because Garcia opened up about how frustrating it was hearing that criticism from his own community. "It's actually really frustrating being Mexican-American and having to hear from my own blood and people giving me shit," Ryan wrote on X. By the time these two men actually stood across from each other at that first press conference, there was already over a year of history behind them. Training videos, Spanish-language taunts, a belt that wasn't his, and call-outs that had gone from playful to personal. That's why the video Garcia sent from the podium landed the way it did. It wasn't the start of something, it was the culmination of it. But there's another layer to all of this that has nothing to do with what either man says on camera, and it might be the biggest reason this fight almost didn't happen the way it did. Here's the part most fans watching the trash talk don't think about. This fight almost got buried under a promotional turf war that had nothing to do with either man's skill in the ring. Benn didn't sign with Zuffa Boxing out of nowhere. He split from Eddie Hearn, the promoter who'd been with him his entire career, including through the drug test saga that could have ended things much earlier. Britain's Benn split from his longtime promoter Eddie Hearn to join White and Zuffa in one of the most shocking developments in boxing's recent history, after Hearn and his company Matchroom had promoted the welterweight for his entire career, and stuck by him during a 2-year saga that began when Benn failed 2 drug tests in 2022. That's not a small thing. Hearn stood by him when plenty of people wanted him gone from the sport entirely, and Benn walked away from that loyalty the moment a bigger opportunity showed up. And that move didn't happen quietly either. Benn, in fact, signed with Zuffa just days after another verbal attack on Hearn by White. Dana White has made no secret of his issues with the old guard of boxing promotion, and Benn's jump gave White a marquee name to build his new organization around. Garcia, meanwhile, is still with Golden Boy, the promotional company run by Oscar De La Hoya. And De La Hoya and White do not get along. Their disagreements go beyond personal history too. They clash over actual policy, specifically around legislation like the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act, which De La Hoya opposes and White supports. Garcia's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, was not present at the news conference, while Zuffa Boxing's Dana White was front and center, and the two promoters have gone back and forth in the media in recent months, particularly over the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act. So when this fight got floated, it wasn't just two fighters agreeing to punch each other. It was two rival promotional companies deciding whether cooperating on one blockbuster card was worth the headache. One outlet put it plainly, noting that a Zuffa versus Golden Boy press conference alone would be must-watch television regardless of who actually fought. A Zuffa Boxing versus Golden Boy Promotions press conference would be wild. Fans picked up on the tension immediately once Benn's call-out video started circulating, pointing out how strange it was for him to sign with a rival company and then immediately go after a fighter from the other side. Sign with Zuffa Boxing and then call out someone in a different promotion embarrassing. That's the kind of comment that shows fans were watching the business side just as closely as the trash talk. For a while, it genuinely looked like leverage would decide this before either man threw a punch. Garcia's team held the cards because he was already champion. An analyst pointed out he didn't actually need this fight at all. As champion, Garcia's camp holds the leverage, and he doesn't need to fight Benn. That's a real risk in a business where the champion can simply pick a softer voluntary defense and skip the political headache entirely. There was also a path where Garcia never fought Benn at all, and instead ran it back with Rolando Romero, the man who'd beaten him the year before. But Garcia's own promoter shut that down publicly, saying the first fight wasn't must-see TV, and that he wanted bigger names next. Let's be real here, it was not an entertaining fight. I don't know who's going to want to see that fight again. De La Hoya said, I want to see a Haney fight. I want to see a Conor Benn fight. I want to see action. That one quote from Garcia's own promoter is what actually pushed Benn from a social media rival into a real, contracted opponent. Once the fight got made, White wasted no time making it official on his own platform, posting the announcement himself and putting his full promotional weight behind the card. Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn is official. Live from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on September 12th, on Mexican Independence Day weekend, White posted. That's a company that split from Eddie Hearn only months earlier, now landing one of the biggest crossover fights of the year on a card that Garcia's own side will co-promote. None of that business context makes the video Garcia sent Benn any less real. If anything, it makes it hit harder. This isn't two guys clowning around for social media clout inside a promotion that's already comfortable working together. This is two rival companies, two rival camps, and two men who genuinely appear to want to hurt each other, all forced onto the same card because the money and the drama were simply too big to pass up. That combination, real animosity sitting on top of real business tension, is exactly why oddsmakers and fans alike can't agree on how this actually plays out come fight night. And that disagreement says more about where this rivalry stands right now than almost anything either man has posted. So where does all of this actually leave Garcia and Benn as September gets closer, and what does that video from the podium really mean for what's coming? Start with what the betting markets think, because it tells you the oddsmakers aren't buying Benn's confidence the way social media might suggest. Garcia opened as a massive favorite once the lines dropped. The recently crowned champion is a shocking -430 favorite on FanDuel Sportsbook, giving him an 81% implied win probability, despite being one of the most popular fighters in the sport, who is still just 2-2 with a no contest in his last 5 fights. That's a staggering number for a fighter with that kind of recent form, and it tells you the people setting these lines think Garcia's knockout promise carries real weight, not just bravado. Benn hasn't backed down from that number at all. If anything, he's leaned harder into dismissing Garcia as a legitimate threat, going as far as questioning whether Garcia can even take a punch. In one recent exchange, Benn brought up Garcia's history of taking a knee in previous fights when he got hurt, using it as proof Garcia won't survive the pace he plans to bring. Benn quickly rejected Garcia's forecast, remaining convinced Ryan will not survive past the middle rounds. And the British challenger questioned Ryan's toughness, pointing to previous fights where Garcia took a knee after getting hurt. Garcia answered that directly on a podcast appearance, laying out exactly how he sees the fight ending, describing Benn getting hit again and again until he loses his composure and walks into something fight-ending. You're going to get hit, and you're like, what the hell just hit me? And it's going to happen over and over and over, Ryan said. Then, before you know it, you're going to get so angry, and you're going to run into something bad. Then you're going to be on the floor like, what happened? Then I'm going to finish you off. That's the same promise from the presser video, just expanded into a full breakdown. And it lines up with what he told Benn to his face weeks earlier, when he vowed the fight wouldn't reach the scorecards at all. Garcia rejected the premise that the fight would go long, not going to make it to 12. He's not going to make it to 12. There's not going to be a 12-round war, I promise you that, Garcia said. Benn keeps countering with his own resume, pointing to his ability to absorb punishment and keep coming, framing himself as a fighter who's never once quit in the middle of a fight. Pointing to his 12-round battles, Benn added, I don't quit, I don't stay down, and framed the assignment simply. He got a WBC world title shot, and I'm here to take it off. That's it. He's also made it clear he isn't rattled by anything Garcia does outside the ring, treating all of it as noise, rather than something that actually worries him heading into fight night. Benn opened in a dismissive register, waving off questions about Garcia's behavior outside the ring. No, not concerned in the slightest, Benn said. What makes this particular rivalry stand out from a normal pre-fight back and forth is how personal it stayed the entire way through. Other fighters have jumped into the conversation just to needle Garcia, treating him as an easy target for a viral moment. Gervonta Davis, one of the men who's already beaten Garcia in the ring, chimed in with his own warning aimed at anyone thinking about bringing family drama into a fight camp, promising to break a jaw if he ever got the chance again. That's the kind of pile-on Garcia's dealt with across his career, and it's part of why the promise he made directly to Benn carried extra weight. It wasn't aimed at a stranger online. It was aimed at the one man standing across from him with a title on the line. Now it's a matter of waiting. Tickets for the September card went on sale through AXS, with the fight streaming to a global audience. Globally, the event streams on Paramount at no additional cost, while DAZN PPV carries it in the UK and Ireland, with tickets going on sale via AXS. Every training clip either man posts between now and fight night is going to get picked apart, the same way that gym selfie and that morning workout video already have. Every podcast appearance is going to get clipped down to the one line that sounds most like a threat. That's just what this rivalry has become. What's clear is that Garcia's video from that podium wasn't a one-off outburst. He'll walk back once the cameras stop rolling. He's repeated the same promise on a podcast, expanded on it in detail, and stood by every word of it, while Benn continues brushing it off in public. Whether that promise turns into reality in front of a sold-out T-Mobile Arena is the only question left that actually matters now. Everything else, the belt that wasn't his, the promotional tug-of-war, the Spanish-language taunts, the heritage jabs, all of it was just the fuse. September 12th is where we find out if the video Garcia sent was a warning Benn should have taken seriously, or one more piece of noise in a rivalry that's had plenty of it already. Sources: Ryan Garcia. Conor Benn pulled apart in fiery confrontation as KO promises made ESPN. Ryan Garcia vs. Conor Benn. Date and everything we know. Forbes. Conor Benn fires back after Ryan Garcia's heritage debate. Boxing 247. Ryan Garcia accepts Conor Benn. Fight after call-out. Boxing 247. Conor Benn rips into spoiled brat Ryan Garcia after getting separated at first face-off. Yahoo Sports. Conor Benn slammed for worst flex ever in Ryan Garcia call-out. SI. Recap of Ryan Garcia vs. Conor Benn. Press conf at Fanatics. Boxing Insider. Conor Benn responds to Ryan Garcia fight call-out. SI. Ryan Garcia reacts to Conor Benn call-out. AOL. Conor Benn vs. Ryan Garcia official as British star gets toughest test. Yahoo Sports. News: Ryan Garcia shares cryptic message TikTok. Sportskeeda. Opening odds for Ryan Garcia vs. Conor Benn indicate huge favorite SII. Conor Benn calls out next targets as he receives number 1 welterweight ranking. SI. Conor Benn's next fight becomes clear after major announcement. AOL. Ryan Garcia announces title fight against Mario Barrios. AOL. 5 boxers to watch in 2026. ESPN Africa. Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia trade words agreeing to fight later this year. SI. Garcia and Benn nearly fight at press conference. British Boxing News. Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia clash in explosive press conference brawl. The body lock MMA. Garcia to Benn. I'll smack them glasses straight off your face. Boxing Insider. Gervonta Tank Davis warns Ryan Garcia. Sportskeeda. Conor Benn sends direct message to Ryan Garcia. Boxing Social. Ryan Garcia predicts Conor Benn knockout after bold Las Vegas warning. Boxing News 24.